All right. I find myself doing on this show more than anything else is probably basically trying to, I guess, sift through all of the news that's being pushed upon people. It's just dispelling conventional wisdom and the narrative right now. And it's amazing at how quickly everything can change. It wasn't too long ago. It was a week ago. Parties on when it comes to the markets. Everything was awesome. And what did we tell you? What did we tell you? I said, don't get yourself overexcited about this stuff. Market rallies after Powell races through the roof. I don't care. Because markets can do all sorts of crazy things over the short term. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is now the overwhelming consensus, every station out, every program. Oh my God. Even, they're actually seeing bears. That's right. Bear markets, bears, where they're very difficult to see. I listened to the interview with Jamie Dimon, and he got all this, oh my God, he was so negative. And I'm like, what? Negative? He was being realistic. And again, I've talked about this before. I've written about this. Reality is, people don't feed the bears. What do I mean by that? It takes me back in time. My column that I wrote when my daughter was just a couple years old, for whatever reason, she was pretty much fearless. And she had this one fear of bears. And there was a Disney show that she couldn't watch it. It was Bear in the Big Blue House. Remember that one, parents? Now she didn't like the bears, that's for sure. But anyway, neither here nor there. You watch these people on TV, and you come to the realization, and I try to get this across, that you get these pundits, these people out there. They love to go to them again and again and again. But the scary thing is they never actually look at their track record of all these major calls that they've had. They've built names up for themselves, and they continue to appear again and again and again. And what's interesting is the people that are truly successful in my industry, what we do, managing people's money, you never see them going on TV making calls about what's going to happen next. Never. The good ones will never do it. They understand that, again, the markets can be very tricky over the short term. But again, the old saying, a stopwatch is accurate twice a day. Well, there's some truth to that. One of my listeners, I saw this. I had seen this, and a couple, actually, one with several listeners sent me over Nouriel Roubini, saying it's going to be this major issue, major crash, going to be major problem. Again, this is the same Nouriel Roubini that during COVID and everything was going to hell in a handbasket. He was basically, yes, we're all going to die. The market's going to go much, much lower. We don't know where they're going to. And again, the same crap. It's not useful information by any stretch of the imagination. And do you think Nouriel Roubini, do you think he trades on this? No. Now, that's the interesting thing, is if these guys were so good at their predictions, man, oh man, their performance, you could take a look at their actual portfolio and track record. And if you were to follow it, man, oh man, they would be the best in the business. The best in the business if they were right. Again, it's not. It's entertainment television, and it's something that I try to get across to everybody about. Again, does your portfolio rely on this hamster wheel? Mad money. What's going to happen next? Nonsense. If it does, I suggest making a change. Again, think about just this year in of itself. The ups and downs of this year. I'm trying to decipher back in February what was going to happen with Russia and Ukraine. Various different opinions. We wrote a column back in 2021 warning that there were storms ahead and talking about inflation, how it was going to be dealt with. You had a Federal Reserve that hiked the hell out of rates at a pace, quite frankly, a pace that I've never seen before in my career. I mean, they went after it this past year. And all of these things, summertime, all of a sudden, oh, geez, market's bouncing back all over the place. How do you time that? Has anybody been right on this consistently? No, they haven't. And I don't suggest you handle your portfolio in such a fashion. The amazing thing is, the people that challenge me on this. Do you think you spend as much time as we do watching what's going on, watching the markets, watching the economy? Be honest. Again, I put our track record up on calling economic calamities, crashes. Companies are going to fall out of bed. Good as anybody. Now, I'm not a hedge fund guy. I'm not Kirinos and Associates or some of these other ones out there that run a hedge fund that go actively short companies. We don't do that. That's not what we do here at Markowski Investments. We've made calls. We've warned you about things here on the program. But, with that being said, you think about how many people, how so far off in regards to what was going to happen next. Again, do you think you spend as much time as we do studying this stuff? You think you have the access that we have? People, I've been doing this a long time. It'd be much easier if I came on this program. Much easier if I came on this program and just started promising the sun, the moon, the stars, telling you that I know everything, touting myself. Borderline illegal, no doubt about that. I mean, there's plenty of these schlock brokers and bad financial advisors that do it on radio, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Nobody can. Nobody can, and it's something that you have to get your arms around. There was a fellow by the name of Nick Murray, and he was a bit of a advisor for trying to teach financial advisors how to think about the market. And he's had some great lines over the years. I've read a lot of his material, and I wrote down, I said, forecasting the market thus appears to be a vicious cycle. But like all addictions, it actually turns out to be a downward spiral. Again, market chasers, it's akin to casino gambling. And it bothers me. It really does, because that's not what the markets are. Watching a television show, I don't know. I caught a bit of it. And there was a whole aspect in regards to, stock trading and something bad happening. I forget the entire thing. But I remember they kept saying, whenever I bet on the stock market, I lose. It's because you bet. Don't bet. Don't bet. Invest. Look to build something over time. I mean, you think of the concept of a portfolio. Is you want to have solid companies in your portfolio that can stand the test of time. Now, again, with that being said, it's not the fact that you don't sell. Okay, there's nothing wrong with taking profits. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with making changes when the fundamentals of a company changes. There's actually some lessons. I talked about this before. There was a list of stocks, late 1960s, early 70s. It was a Wall Street marketing ploy. It was called the Nifty 50. And it was they were basically saying these are 50 stocks that you can buy and you will never have to sell. Yeah, some of the companies on that list, Polaroid, Xerox, most of them are gone. at this point. And granted, some got bought up, whatever it may be, but most of them were gone. Some lessons that you can take away from this. Okay, we again, I don't think that it's next year is going to. No, it could be pretty volatile. We've called that here on the program. How do you handle it? Buying the markets are not a great idea. Passive investing is not a great idea. You got to be careful. You got to be careful in buying dips, and you got to be also careful of value traps. But if you're actively managing your portfolio and you're following the fundamentals, everything that's going on, it's essential to these things. Again, I take a look from 2000 to 2010, which is a fantastic decade for us, but for index investors, it's horrible. It's horrible. Think about all the things that transpired over that 10 years. Well, I mean, the NASDAQ, my Lord. Again, not all of the companies fell apart during the dot-com collapse, but many of them did. And we've watched many companies go by the wayside this year. And bulls, bears, whatever it may be, I don't know if the market's going to go back and retest the lows. Retest the lows. Possible, but amongst all that, there's going to be winners. There's going to be winners, and end of maybe 2023. Maybe we'll see things here. I don't know. It could be sooner than that. It's very, very difficult. Again, you can look at all the data the government puts out, and I take a look at it. Productivity numbers today came out better than expected. Again, you think about the job situation here in the United States right now. Still, I find it extraordinarily fascinating and very positive. Positive. The fact that if you want to work, you can find it. You can find yourself a job. To me, there's nothing worse in the entire world than somebody being out of work and not being able to find work. You want to work, you can find it. It's a completely different situation. I've never seen this before. And again, how the economy is going to adjust to this. Not to mention, we went over this yesterday on the program. There's a lot of, they love calling them green shoots. I don't want to call them green shoots or anything like that for the economy. Again, we talked about talent and potential. We've got there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's no doubt about it. There's a significant change. China's basically all of a sudden has woken up when it comes to COVID. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the program. But I think many businesses have learned their lesson, and businesses moving back to the United States, the opportunities that we have. Okay, I go back to bear market, sell-offs, whatever it may be. Never bet on the end of the world. It's going to only happen one time. Anyway, let's get into some of the other stories here. Yesterday in the program, I was making fun of Europe as well. They don't build, they don't create, they just sue the United States and our companies when they don't like something. Now, here's Facebook story here. And again, you got a lot of people out there not fans of the Facebook or Meta, whatever you want to call it. Again, there's many things that Facebook does that I am disgusted with, aggravated with. One of my yesterday, one of my money minutes supposedly was against community standards. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I'm trying to figure out why, but nobody's let me know. Yeah, all that stuff drives me crazy too. But anyway, European regulators going after Meta because they don't think that it's right that Meta, part of their terms of use, they can use the data that you are searching on their site, specifically, the information they can garner from you and use it to target ads toward you. The EU says that's no good. Can't do that. Now, there's already opt-outs when it comes to other, if you're on Facebook and go to a different site, or if just another other site, apps, various different things that they cannot track, you can opt out of. My question would be to the European regulators, that is, how's Facebook supposed to make money? You got to keep the lights on, right? Got to keep the lights on. How they going to get advertisers to advertise if on their platform if they cannot, in essence, target those ads towards individuals? How's it possible? I mean, even television, for crying out loud. I mean, you look at daily afternoon programs, soap operas. I don't think they're running many Budweiser ads at 2:00 in the afternoon on Young and the Restless. That show's still around. I don't know. I don't think it's happening. They're able to target certain ads on certain programs based upon who the hell's watching. Saturday morning cartoons, you're probably going to see a lot. Well, they still have Saturday morning cartoons. I don't even know. They probably have, some toy advertisements. At least they did back when, I was watching it and I wanted my Steve Austin $6 Million Man action figure when I was younger. I loved $6 Million Man. Planet of the Apes, too. Planet of the Apes action figures. Awesome. Anyway, I digress. How are they supposed to make money? I mean, you want them to start, you'd rather have them charge people for usage. I mean, if you don't want to use Facebook and you don't want to be tracked, don't use it. Don't use it. I use, some people like using Google Maps, other people, whatever it may be. I use Waze. One of the reasons why I use Waze when I'm getting from point A to point B, and again, Google owns Waze, is it tells me, I drive fast. It tells me where the police are. Again, it's better than any radar detector that I've had. Way better. Tells you when there's a pothole in the road. Warns you again, though, it also puts up little ads. Telling you if you're stopped at a light somewhere saying, hey, where the nearest Chick-fil-A is or whatever it may be. They targeting you? Yeah, they are. But again, somebody's got to pay the bill. They got to keep the lights on. And again, I would rather, no one likes, getting whacked over the head with ads, but I'd rather have ads come at me with things that I might actually buy. That's all. I mean, is it really that bad? I mean, where is the real harm here? I don't seem to get it. I really don't. Again, taking certain features out, they've, toned it down to some degree, but, come on. I see what comes up. They know what I like and what I don't, to some degree. But it's not invasive by any stretch. It really isn't. I'm still trying to figure out YouTube's. I was talking about this yesterday. And I obviously post this vlog on YouTube every single day and Money Minutes and all that stuff and all my television appearances. But YouTube is a tool for me. Many times I'm grabbing clips and funny things for the weekend radio show. And for whatever reason it may be, whenever I go to YouTube, there's some new sweater company from Mongolia. They're trying to sell me sweaters. I don't know why I get that ad all the time, but I do. Anyway, moving on. Carvana today, stock down again. Another 40% today. Fears of bankruptcy. Told you. I mean, we talked about it last week, the week before here on the program. We've talked about it in the past. These companies that are too clever by half. That's how I described it on the weekend show last week. Too clever by half. Again, great nifty idea, but you don't see the bigger picture. You're not able to see the forest for the trees. Again, it's something that we've become pretty adept to here at Markowski Investments. It's funny, a guy wanting to basically get our podcast in front of more people, how to go about doing it, and he presents to me, this presentation, and I'm like, it's not going to work. And I said, it sounds great and all these things, but what about this? Think about the bigger picture here. And they're talking about the impressions and advertisements that you're going to have on Pandora and all this stuff. And I'm saying to myself, if I'm listening to the, I don't know, the chill station or the classic rock station, and I'm relaxing, some evening or a Saturday afternoon, and a 15-second ad, 30-second ad for the WatchDog on Wall Street podcast radio show. Do you think that's going to register? Do you think that person having a beer, chilling out in their backyard or in a car listening to rock music, going to all of a sudden click over and subscribe to that podcast? I'm like, no. I think that's part of the whole digital advertising thing now, is that, most companies just spend because they can. It's like that carpet bomb, and they don't know what's working, what's not working. And this is why you're seeing some pullback in ads. Carvana, we talked about here on the program, they didn't see the bigger picture. They didn't see the bigger picture. I mean, you honestly think that, COVID was going to last forever. And if, let me tell you some, Carvana goes into bankruptcy. They bought that auction house. You're going to see prices for used cars drop significantly, because they're going to obviously have to pay creditors, going to bankruptcy court, and these are their assets that they're going to have. They're going to have to liquidate that. Anyway, okay, David Solomon. Oh boy, from the great Vampire Squid known as Goldman Sachs. He's the CEO of Goldman Sachs. I've gone off on Goldman Sachs for years here on the program. But there was a point in time when I revered that company. I thought it was one of the best. It was, and this was before it went public. This is when it was a private partnership. It was a completely different company than it was today. But again, this weekend on the radio show, I'll delve further into that. So let's see if you've been paying attention here on the podcast. If you recall, what are the different ways you can make money on Wall Street? 3 ways, right? 3 ways. One of the ways is that, again, you can play the zero-sum game, the greater fool game, and pump and dump. That's a quick way of making money and utilizing human nature to get people all hyped up, some sort of hype cycle that we talked about, and then blow out. I mentioned Carvana today. Well, the insiders are out. You see Lucid. There was another one they were talking about today. Lucid. Yeah, that the Saudi-backed company, but it's not just Saudi. Investors got out of that. It got pulled into a SPAC. The stock is well below its IPO price when it went into the SPAC. People made a ton of money. But the greater fools out there did not. That's, again, doing things out. It's a way you can make money on Wall Street. Another way you can make money on Wall Street, middleman. The flow of money. Flow, as much flow as possible. Getting in there, getting your cut. Penny here, a penny there. It adds up. Just ask Ken Griffin, like I said, from Citadel, and ask these investment houses out there. Why do you think, and this is shameful, why do you think Fidelity is so keen on allowing people to trade cryptos in their 401ks? It's appalling. It's disgusting is what it is. It really is. It's like opening up, I don't know, a bar at an AA meeting. Having a bar inside the facility where they're having AA. Are you kidding me? I'm not saying it's illegal, but is it right? Does it pass the ethical test? And to me, most of these things do not. But anyway, you're talking about Solomon today in the Wall Street Journal, talking about the blockchain and how it's so important, and it's more than crypto. And he's talking about the ability later on down the road for investors to own tiny pieces of real estate and be able to trade it. They might not be able to get involved in the real estate investment trust because they don't have enough money, but they can own a fraction of a share. And I'm like, chick-ching. Ching. Damn, it's great to be the owner of the casino, is it not? Again, it's, they're going to collect their vig, and we don't gamble, we invest. And of course, the third way of making money is our way: work, time, effort. Okay. Again, questions in regards to this, and we told you that this case was a complete joke. This was a show trial. It was completely unnecessary, and it was a waste of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. I'm talking about the Trump organization being found guilty of criminal tax fraud. Yeah. In essence, you had this guy, their former finance chief, Alan Weisselberg. Alan Weisselberg paid himself a myriad of perks, like his grandkids' tuition to private school, a myriad of different things out there. Didn't benefit the Trump organization at all. Wasn't any fraud that helped Trump on his bottom line. Weisselberg is in trouble because of this. But again, that wasn't what this was all about. Wasn't what this was about. District attorneys trying to get their name in the paper, trying to become political heroes. So waste of frickin' time is what this is. A collective waste of time. You could have walked in there. You could have settled with this guy. No problem whatsoever. You're caught. You did something the wrong way. And what's going to happen is a fine's going to be paid. You think Trump or anybody is, had to go to court, is indicted in this at all? No. It's not so much a witch hunt. It's not so much a witch hunt. I wouldn't call it a witch hunt because there was obviously wrongdoing here. Witch hunts, there's no wrongdoing. There was wrongdoing here. But how it was handled? Not to mention the fact, you think that this is the only company that engages in that type of behavior? Man, they needed to make this a story. And you know what it is? One big nothing. Again, I'm honest here. Equal opportunity basher here on the program. Go to the other side, okay? Where I'm, defending Trump on this because it's ridiculous. The reason why the Georgia Senate is the way the reason why Warnock is still a senator is because of Trump. Well, not just Trump, but also the Republican Party as well. It's that simple. That's simple. We would not be in the position we are in today if it wasn't for, I'm sorry, this is what I believe. You can go tell me to go take a long walk off a short pier. But I believe, Donald Trump's action after the election led to Republicans losing the Senate in Georgia. Having Donald Trump decide to pick and choose candidates in certain areas based upon loyalty or blood oaths or whatever the hell he does, wasn't helpful, was it? Wasn't helpful. Just saying. May not agree with me, but it is what it is. You are, like Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. I mentioned this earlier on in the program. China, 180. Scrapping most COVID-19 testing and quarantine requirements. They opened up, some of these areas where people can go on vacation. You can go, you have to take a test, but you can go on vacation. But if you take the test and you fail and you got COVID, they're not going to put you in some sort of concentration camp. There's a bonus for you. How about that? China is seeing the writing on the wall saying we're screwed. It's interesting. We import more from Europe than we do China now. You don't think that they're spooked by this? You don't think that they're spooked at companies like, all right, screw this, we're out. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. Again, I don't know what this means. This is a near-term, situation. They could go back. They could, because again, I think they're going to have a really difficult time this winter. They have supposedly an inferior vaccine there. I've actually had some people say, well, that's not necessarily the case. We don't know that for sure. I don't know. But what I do know is that, if this, been locking everybody down, what sort of herd immunity do you got going on there? But again, we won't know anyway. We won't know. If China has, 30, 40,000 people dying a day, God forbid, this winter, it's not like we're going to know about it. Not like we're going to know, because they'll cover that thing up. They're not going to let that information get out. I talked about bears. Talked about bears and markets and whatever it may be, and being, nimble on your feet and all of these things that you have to be if you want to be successful over time. Scares me right now. I got this question. What scares you right now? What is on your radar that really makes you nervous? We talked a lot about Ukraine and Russia over the course of this year, and factors that led up to this, and blame game, and all sorts of stuff. What spooks the hell out of me is the fact that grew up through the Cold War. And again, I remember when I was a kid, the stupidity behind the bomb drills, and you're ducking underneath your desk because in the event of a nuclear attack. And I remember as a kid, the show that everybody watched there is back when everybody had only 4 television stations. The day after, was it the day after? No, the day after, the day after nuclear Holocaust program. It was around us all the time. And we grew up, Soviet Union's a bad guy, Cold War, Rocky, all that. The Red Dawn, all that, the pop culture stuff. I get all of that. But the entire time we might have seen, espionage movies where you had James Bond facing off against the Soviet Union, Felix Leiter helping out there from the CIA. We never saw Russian bases attacked. We're seeing that now. And I know I'm going to get down, but they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine. Ukraine should be hitting those bases over in Russia. And I guess one base was 300 miles inland. Okay. I'm going to take your point there, but I'm going to throw back at you if that's what you believe. You do realize that Ukraine is not a nuclear power and Russia is. You think about how long the Cold War lasted. Nothing like this occurred. Nothing. I mean, the Russians, I'm involved in helping out the North Vietnamese and in Vietnam War, or helping out North Korea and the Korean War. Okay. And what noticed me, what kind of really also, might put my antenna up. It was amazing. After these attacks started, the next day in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article saying the United States had modified its HIMARS missiles so they couldn't be launched into Russia. I spoke to somebody who's in the know with this morning, and they said, yeah, that could be changed back. It's kind of like taking, a semi-automatic gun and turning it into an automatic gun. I'm sure it's a hell of a lot more complicated, okay, but it can be done. And, another story, United States, Biden said that, not authorizing, not for any of these, attacks inside of Russian space. It's spooking them too. It is. And again, I'll still see a litany of op-eds, these war hawk sons of bitches out there that are writing their pieces from the Washington, D.C., or from Cambridge or New York City from some think tank, pushing this rah-rah, support Ukraine to the bitter end. No. Okay? What we need to do right now, what the President of the United States needs to do right now, the Commander-in-Chief needs to do right now, is we need to get these people, both sides to the table here, and we need an off-ramp. They had people all upset with Macron because Macron was talking about security guarantees for Russia. Oh, you can't have that. What are you, out of your mind? The President of the United States is to defend and protect American interests. And right now, it's in nobody's interest, especially in Europe. Nobody's interest for rockets. I mean, bases being hit inside of Russia. Okay. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, WatchDog on WallStreet.com. WatchDog on WallStreet.com, our site. Take advantage of all the great stuff we have. Become a part of the WatchDog on Wall Street family, podcast, newsletter, personal CFO program, access to some of the portfolio things we do, our Alpha Lock portfolios. Take advantage. WatchDog on WallStreet.com. God bless. We'll see you.